Hey folks, so this is the first in a series of video posts I plan to produce. The content for these posts comes from a book I just finished writing that my editor says may be ready by mid-year. The worst part of that is that I have an English degree and she's editing the heck out of it. So while I'm waiting to have her make me readable, I thought some of this is actually ready now, so why not share it? So here's the origin story of my book. Over the course of 2020, I was doing some sales consulting to early stage startups, and I was receiving a higher volume than usual of career and work-related calls from connections, former employees, and friends of mine. And after a busy week where I had maybe a dozen of these calls, I got to the last one and realized I had dispensed a handful of sometimes funny, definitely helpful, possibly even poignant excerpts from a similar set of Justin classics made fresh by some newfound wisdoms and perspective. But my brain hurt from repeating myself. And then a light came on. First I thought, there's some gold in here. Why hasn't anyone ever shared this with these smart, successful young sales pros before now? Second, I sensed the repetition and thought to myself, why don't I write a couple of blogs, cover off the basics, so the next time I get asked, I'll simply say, go read my blog. Okay, not exactly a eureka moment for me, but if nothing else, it was a practical idea. But after I sketched out the topics I wanted to cover and I began writing, I realized there was way more here than a few blogs. So, with some inspiration from a friend of mine who is a published author, I sat down to see what would happen if I tried to write something a little more substantial. Something that captured all that stuff rattling around my cranium that I'd accumulated after a career working with aspiring young sales professionals. I sat down and wrote 10,000 words a week for 10 weeks straight and ended up with The Hobbit. Yes, The Hobbit has already been written, I know. But my point is, clearly there was way more here than a few blogs. Along the way, I forged a structure for the book that I really believe might be helpful to a very specific group of aspiring sales professionals in the technology industry. Those sales professionals who aspire to be an executive level sales leader one day and who fall into the Millennial and Gen Z cohorts. Importantly, along the way, I also realized I did not want this to sound or read like those other sales books because, well, those books have already been written. This needed to be uniquely me. There would be no way for me to write this in any other voice but my own, whether that resonates with anyone or not. To stand up at a podium and wax philosophic in a pedantic posture, okay, insert eye roll and facepalm emoji. So I dropped the business school tone, took off the tie, there wasn't actually a tie, threw away my mask of insecurity, almost, and just said what I wanted to say. You may not like it sometimes. And yes, I'm gonna swear. Actually about 30 words from now. So what came out of me when I wrote was a not so subtle cocktail of a guide for young sales leaders mixed with career experiences, life experiences, coaching experiences, and fatherhood experiences. And finished off with a dash of bar fights, boardroom fights, and a few f***yous to authority. So yeah, this cocktail is 3 parts bourbon and 1 part everything else. Oh my God, again, Justin, what does that even mean? It means you're going to feel it. And I hope it portends that you're going to enjoy it. Cocktail metaphor ended. What I quickly realized was that underpinning all of the career advice and the personal stories was a foundation of principles and values that demand far more attention than they get from each of us. That's why the first section of the book is my thoughts on this opaque-ish subject of character. Now, check your sigh of exasperation. I get it. I'm not a shining example of anything other than someone struggling to live up to his personal code and falling short from time to time. I suspect some of you may be in the same boat. That's okay. So I'll share with you the same thing I tell me quite often. Justin, relax. Chill the F out. Take time out from the self-flagellation and ask yourself, what is the lesson learned here? And then don't be such an idiot next time. Say what you mean what you say, and now go away and be better. Because today, Justin, you pulled up a little short. Okay, this advice to myself doesn't always work because I hate failing. Way more than I love winning. That's for sure. So I tend to be a little hard on myself. Having said that, I don't mind losing sometimes. Not when I know I left it all on the field. Blood, bruises, near concussions, collisions in right field, torn rotator cuffs, and separated labrums. From the first time in my baseball career, I got carried off the field in 2020. Seriously, I don't advise this for anyone. It was epic in how much it hurt. But I survived, and I probably shouldn't have driven home that day. Listen, I'm not having some kind of Hamlet crisis here. I'm trying to blast the doors off this thing called me and actually expand my life by unencumbering myself a wee bit from this mortal coil, and then doing the work of expanding my life within my own personal limitations of working daily to raise my son as a man of character. And while paying my mortgage, and while searching for true love, and while trying to climb as many mountains as I can before I finally do shuffle off this mortal coil. Does any of that ring true for you? Anyone? That back? Jeez. Continuing on from the pizza guy. I didn't write this book to be like other writers in the technology industry like Mark Roberge or Aaron Ross or Peter Thiel because, well, I wasn't the fifth hire at a unicorn startup or part of the PayPal mafia. I mean, I wish I was, but I wasn't. So I'll defer to what I know and what I strongly believe, and that is that executive sales leaders in our industry, including me, do our junior colleagues a disservice by not sharing with them some of the foundational knowledge around process, methodology, data science, strategic thinking models, and how to read financial statements. Here's what I'm planning to do in these posts. I'm going to read excerpts from my book in the hopes that you find some entertainment value and some professional value. Sometimes winning in sales can simply be about changing your attitude, thinking differently, getting out of your own way, and in this case, maybe finally having some semblance of a roadmap to that career goal to become an executive sales leader one day. By the way, the title of my book, Contenders, Champions, and You. And while we're each scrapping it out as a contender, and that includes me, I hope some of what I wrote will find its way into your new game plan on your way to a title shot. And along the way, I got your back. Good luck and good selling. See you next time.